It's your boy, Wiener Dog here. Today with another video. I wanted to start the video by saying there was a point where I had no laptop, no Wi-Fi, and I was walking dogs. And somehow that led me to working with startups and making money online. Right? So I'm gonna go back a few years back and I wanna go from the beginning, right? I was doing like three jobs at the same time, or and actually I was doing like two jobs to be honest. And well, first I was a mover. I was working as a mover here in Colombia, and it's not like I was an illegal mover because I was underage, right? But it's those kind of things that it was referral only, so um, only some people will understand what that means, but basically the demand varies by day to day, and you don't always get called because not every day there's opportunity and you don't get paid, right? You only get paid for the job. So it was really like seasonal sort of thing. At the same time, I was doing deliveries. I was a delivery boy on my iron bicycle, going up hills and shit to deliver food and stuff. Right? It was really hard work, and I had a friend who had like a dog walking business, and I asked him if I could work for him, and I started walking dogs. At the end of the day, I realized that I started walking dogs for him for free, but that's a discussion for another day. And I was like super introverted. I had long hair, super shy. Talking to people was the scariest thing ever. Talking to people was like approaching women. It was like the most scariest thing ever, and it was crazy, right? I was like the last person you would think I was a salesperson just because of my ability, it's just my personality. I just didn't see myself as that. But dog walking took me out of my comfort zone and it forced me to sell. And I was constantly promoting this stuff. I was constantly spreading flyers everywhere here in Medellin, trying to sell dog walking services to people. We got like one or two clients, but it didn't really go anywhere. It really went like sideways. But you don't realize it, but being physically there, people start seeing you if you're visible, if you're allowed to be seen, right? And obviously, I would walk the same dogs day in and day out, and I didn't realize that people were watching me, right? And those people, I slowly started, taking the elevator and would take it up or down with them, and I would just talk to people because I was friendly, and I just started talking in English, and one thing led to another. Um, you know, I just started making friends with the dog owners, and one thing led to another. I got offered an opportunity to do LinkedIn outreach. It was like commission only. It was pretty high ticket, but at the time, the offer was pretty weak. The messaging was weak. It just didn't go out as expected. But I didn't know it at the time. But that one conversation changed everything, right? So I had no Wi-Fi at my home or no laptop. So I would literally go to this guy's house every day after dog walking to work on LinkedIn outreach. And I swear I studied everything I could study out of LinkedIn at that time and point. LinkedIn was something completely new for me, and I ate there. I did LinkedIn outreach, cleaned the house and stuff like that. I would stay until like night, like into like the late evening, just like hustling hard because I truly believed in my heart that this was going to be the opportunity that was going to change my life. Later, I realized that it was a weak offer. To be honest, it didn't work. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of grind. I would grind super hard every day, but I slowly started gaining trust by the owners. They started pulling me into other things, and they would trust me with they would trust me so much that they would literally leave me. Sometimes I would take care of their kids while they were not there. While they did when they were elsewhere. And I remember that sometimes I would like stay and like take care of their kids, and I would literally wake up at like 5 a.m. at their apartment. And I remember one day that they came in from a party, and obviously they say that you are uh, your first five friends, right? So these guys were entrepreneurs. They were bringing home people, other entrepreneurs, and I didn't know, but I met more entrepreneurs, and one thing led to another, right? And I met this new entrepreneur. This guy was actually going to invest into our business, and it ended up that he sold me the opportunity of my lifetime, basically. And it was a startup opportunity. Basically consisted in collecting Wi-Fi signals here in Medellin. It was some app where foreigners could just download and just have Wi-Fi everywhere, right? And he was paying like $1 or $10 per Wi-Fi signal that he got. And I remember one time I got like 40, 50 signals in one day, because here in Medellin a lot of places are like super closed up and stuff. And I made like a good like 100 something, $200 in one day, right? It was good money. But I thought I was just working, but I what I was really doing was exposing myself to opportunities. And I remember this guy told me one thing is like, in order for you to attract more opportunities, you have to be out there. I started realizing that in order for things to happen, you have to make them happen. Being visible, like having a way people can actually see you. Nowadays, that's social media. In person, I was just limited to the people I was meeting in person, right? But I remember that he said something about atoms, right? If you grab an atom and you like isolate the atom in one cubicle, then it has no room. It cannot expand its connection. But if you grab that same atom and you put it freely in the world, it can connect with other atoms, dance around them, or even repel, right? Which that always stayed with me, to be honest. And I think that's why the whole reason I started actually started pushing this YouTube channel and stuff like that, because I realized that for opportunities to show up, for job opportunities, business, you have to be visible. There has to be a way people have to find you. Because if you're in some apartment, if you're just closed in your own room, then you have no visibility. Then the people can't find you in the first place. You have to. I don't know exactly how you can say it, but you have to be able to be found, right? And you have to let yourself be found. And that's like what I've realized during this whole journey, right? At the end, that startup died, but guess what? I was selling this app to directly to business owners here in Medellin. So I was like, hey man, I have a bunch of lists. I have a huge list of business owners. Why not? Why don't we just start knocking on these people's doors and seeing if they have any jobs? And probably the majority of them, the grand majority of them, didn't have any opportunity for me. But there was this one guy I was able to connect. This guy was like crazy, crazy. This guy was a drug addict. This guy was out of his mind, but he hired me for 1 month. That died. After that, I started looking for jobs on LinkedIn. But that first job, I felt really capped. I felt like an employee. It was horrible. But I learned a lot of things. I learned cold calling. I learned ethic. I learned everything. But back when I was working at that tech startup, I had met other people outside of the business owners who I was prospecting. And after that first job I got out of LinkedIn, I simply reached out to them, and one of them actually started working with them first of them. It was a great opportunity. I started realizing about leverage, high ticket stuff. I started realizing that you can make a lot of money working way less, which really reframed my mind, and making it all of it online. And now I'm working with the other guy I met, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And opportunities just attract more opportunities, because as I'm working, you get to meet more business owners, more founders of other companies. You're selling this SaaS stuff to everybody, and it just becomes infinite, man. It's like you become exposed directly to business owners, and I'm sure, I hope not. I mean, I hope I work for here forever, to be honest. But if the day I don't have a job, I at least have a list of people who I was in direct contact who know me, know my reputation of, and that's a really good list of people you can probably start knocking doors because they already know you. You're already warm for them. They know your reputation. They know you're hardworking, and that just becomes an infinite source of opportunities, man. And every time life just gets progressively better. So I think the final message is you don't have to be perfect. I was less than ideal, probably less than below average in life. I come from nowhere, so I guess that's like the main thing that I want to show you is that you can come from nowhere. You can have like below average. I didn't have a laptop. You just need to put yourself in environments where opportunities can find you. Nowadays, that's social media. Um, I've had this discussion with another friend. Networking. I don't really like the word networking. Like going to these events. I mean, those things can help. I'm not saying otherwise, but what has helped me more is what I call practical networking. I made it up, which is like where you're working, right? Well, first, I always work with passion. I always work hard. I always give it my all. So first, do what you do and do it great, or with a lot of love, and people will notice. Second, practical networking is where you are working with whatever offer you're working with, whoever you're selling to or working with. All of those people become contacts. All of those people get to know you. Either you try to sell them, or they're friends with the business owner. All of them are like direct source. That's like a direct source of opportunities. And if you have that infinite list of a bunch of business owners, then you have infinite potential, man. It's all you have to do, and I've learned this in sales, man. You have to talk to 10 people, and at least two, or at least one, will actually open the door. Ask and you shall receive, right? Sales has really taught me that life is a numbers game. It's probabilities. And how you win in life is by stacking the most, I don't know how to say this, by stacking probabilities in your favor. So if you do practical networking with all these people you try to sell, people your owner knows, all of that, you just think about it, you have 10, 20 warm prospects, and you can get at least 4 job opportunities just from your networking. You don't even have to look for another job externally. And honestly, I think that's the best way to go about it because that's going to be the best offers, the best money, the best leverage. So, I don't think I have anything else I want to say, at least for now. Um, yeah, you can achieve anything in this life, man, even if you come from nowhere. So, God bless everybody, and Wiener Dog out.